Jam.
Okay.
You know, so it wasn't that. It was Island Records in the UK, which was the one that like Bob Marley and
Okay.
U2 and
Right.
yeah, that was that one.
And they put out an album,
Yeah.
and from what you've said in interviews, and I'm sure this is a bit of an
I'm afraid.
exaggeration, you kind of alienated your YouTube audience.
Yeah, I think I did.
Well, first off, the album cover's shitty. I got to be honest.
Oh, the one for the major label album.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's awful.
It's the worst. They were trying to.
You
make me
look
into something.
awful.
I
on
look
the, you,
pissed, right?
you look so pissed on the album cover.
It was. I think I knew. I mean, look. When I first landed in London, when I first had my first week at the label, I went in for meetings
Right.
with everybody, and like the head of marketing was like, sat down in his office.
Look how miserable you look.
Oh, well, also like I wasn't eating. Do you see how skinny I was?
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like wasting away because some like London shop girl was like made a dig at me because it basically said like insinuated that I was chunky. And so then I just like stopped eating, and they're like, "Oh, you're looking
You look like you're falling asleep.
fabulous."
Look at this, Trevor.
Yeah.
How bad is that album cover?
I know it sucks. It totally sucks. Look, I'm not gonna deny it. It sucks. Like the whole thing sucks.
No, but here's the thing. I went on Amazon.
Yeah.
All 5-star reviews. There's good songs on there.
Yeah, the songs are good. The production's a mess.
Yeah.
It's like a hodgepodge.
I was listening to the
mishmash.
Vicodin song on the way here,
Yeah.
and it was weird because there were sounds. Like I thought like I hit something or there's something going on the road,
Yeah.
but it was like the background strings and things and
There were strings on that song?
something like that. Yeah, I don't know what. I think there was like a cello or something. You know,
Really?
like, but it was an awful
I don't even
cello.
remember. I blocked it all out. I think I blocked everything out.
Yeah, because it was like I'm listening to the song, I'm digging the song, you and the guitar, but there's like these weird sounds and they're going all over the place.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird sounds happening.
Yeah. So that I don't think you alienated your entire YouTube audience.
No, I think it was like, so I was telling you, like, so I got there and this guy was like sat down and he's like, put his hands on his desk and was like, so, tell us about this YouTube. And I was like, oh shit. Like that was the point when I was like, oh, I'm totally screwed. Like they didn't even know what it was. Like they were curious. They were like, well, what is it? How does it work?
So you think they signed you to get some insight into YouTube?
No, I mean that would have been a pretty. They could have. You know, that would have been a pretty expensive way to get educated. I think they signed me because they thought they saw the momentum and they thought, great, we're gonna like throw a record out and just like put this girl into like the machine,
right?
And we know how to amplify this. I think they had good intentions. I think they really thought that. And well, that was what I thought. I thought, look, everything I built on my own. With nothing, with
right.
like no money and no support. I didn't even have a manager or anything. And I'm like, I think my thinking was, if I could do that on my own, then if I hand this over to the professionals, they're gonna like.
It's more than Thriller.
Yeah, it's like if I could do this on my own, like what could they do? And and the reality was like the magic of it was of everything that I was doing on my own. And then when I got there, it was sort of like, oh, don't be so accessible. Do you want to be a rock star? Do you want to be a YouTube star? And
right.
They didn't understand. There wasn't this constant contact. Like there was no Twitter. There was no. Now it's like.
There was MySpace.
Yeah, there was MySpace, but there wasn't like the constant interaction. There wasn't like the constant dialogue and the accessibility of everybody.
There wasn't
now.
a phone.
Right. There wasn't a smartphone. Right.
You had to go on your computer to get on
yes.
MySpace.
Yeah. So it's like now it's labels can't buy that. Like they pay for that kind of exposure, like connection to people, and there's
right.
people running social media accounts trying to like be accessible all the time and whatever. And but back then there was much more of a like if you're a musician, if you're a rock star, like you're not supposed to be accessible. Nobody's supposed to really relate to you. You're supposed to be like, they're supposed to think that you're much better than they are, and like, and I wasn't that way at all. I was like, here's how you play my song, and making videos of like how to play it for people
right.
and stuff.
Did they do a video for Say It's Possible?
They remade the video that I made with my friends.
Okay, so just a bigger budget and
and it sucked. I mean, it was like the original concept was an original concept, and
right.
it was super cool. And then they're like, well, that worked, and let's make it better. And so then there was like flashier production, but like the same exact idea with having people write in, what would you do if anything
right.
were possible, and like they just did the same thing.
But
like,
it wasn't the people writing it. It was a guy scriptwriter doing it.
No, it was actual people.
Oh, okay.
There were actual people that wrote in, like a second round of people, which was actually, that was cool because we couldn't fit all the submissions in on the first video.
Right.
So then this was like another opportunity for people to get their stuff in that like didn't get in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was like the same concept, and I was doing the same thing. But now instead of being like in my crappy overcoat under a bridge in LA, I was like all dressed up in like this red dress and tons of makeup, like in the streets of London, and
right.
it was just so weird, you know. It was just, I don't know, I think they thought it was going to be an easy, you know, kind of like an easy grab, like, okay, well, this girl has all this momentum, we're just going to like throw an album out there and everybody's going to buy it and it's going to be great, you know.
Well, let me ask you this too. You were signed to the label around the time Amy Winehouse was signed.
Yeah.
How did they, and you know, maybe in the reality they didn't do it right, but how did they push her the right way and push you the wrong way?
Well, it's just a whole different trajectory.
Right.
I mean, a lot of it has to do with your team, honestly. Like, if you have people around you that kind of like understand who you are and help, and are like advocates, like for
right.
you and for what you want, that's what you really need. And actually, to be honest, it wasn't even the label that did anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was I then started. So I didn't have a manager when everything blew up on YouTube, but I was in a production deal
mm-hmm.
with the guy that made my album, and so like the producer, and so then he was sort of like, well, you should let me manage you because nobody's going to care about your career the way that I do, and you know, and so I was like, okay, and so then I was managed and produced by the same person, and I just and I didn't, and it was crazy because before that, to be honest, I have like everyone that I knew, we were having all these conversations about how I needed to get away from this person because the demos that he was doing were not right. And
right.
like, I mean, my lawyer and my brother, like everybody were like, how, and I just was so guilty. Like I felt so loyal and guilty. I didn't want to be that person that like, he was the first person that paid me, you know, that was like, oh, I see. He wasn't the first person that was like, oh, you're talented, but like he was the first person that was, you know, that
said I could take your career in the next
yes,
step.
Exactly. And so I felt really loyal to him, and they were like family. You know, I came out here, I didn't know anybody, and he and his family were like family to me. They were like almost like parents, or something, you know. And it was really hard for me to get away from that. And so instead of breaking away, I like doubled down and made him like my manager too. Right. You know, it's just like all the dumb mistakes. I've made all the dumb mistakes. I actually really like that. I'm actually working on something right now to share so much of this knowledge because I've done everything, like I've been an independent artist, I've been a major label artist, I've like, you know, played Wembley Stadium, and I've played for like 5 people in the living room, and like I've booked my own tours, and I've had tours booked by CAA, and like, you know, it's like I've had all these extremes and like everything in between, and I want to like share all that with people because there's a lot of stuff that, like, there's a lot of people like writing books and telling you how to do stuff that have never actually done it before. Right. Because like most of the time, if somebody, you know, has been a major label artist or whatever, like they're not gonna necessarily tell you how their experience was if it didn't go great. You know, they're not gonna like give you the access to their contracts and like show you the deals and stuff. What's going on? No, I was just nothing's going on. No, okay. Hannah's fine. I just. Oh, good. Yeah. No, I was because I'm trying to time out when you're gonna sing. Oh. Because I'd love to hear you sing. Sure. And I was trust me, there's so many more questions I have for you. But why don't we since that we had that awkward pause. Okay. And Trevor told me there was about a half hour left. I say, I know it just goes by so fast. It goes by so fast. I know. But what song are you gonna sing now? Well, why don't I play Machine Age? Yes, that's not your latest single, but that's a newer single. Yeah. And that was inspired by what's going on these days, politically. Yeah, I was thinking about it last night. I played last night, and I was thinking about this song when I was on stage, and it's like, it's a protest song, right? And like a protest song is almost like, you know, I write a lot of songs that would be considered love songs and like sort of heartbreak songs and like emotional catharsis kind of songs, and I feel like protest songs are kind of all of the above, you know, because it's like, obviously in order to protest something there has to be some expectation or some feeling of love that's been just totally crushed, you know, and in this case it's like the state of our country. But this goes back to Possible, because I was also inspired by politics and what's going on, and you were able to put a very loving spin on what really is a bad situation that needs to be fixed. Yeah. And go right ahead. Okay.